Well, thank you for bearing with us. Excited to be together tonight. Good evening. My name is Randy Edwards, and I pastor Grace Kernersville. Thank you for joining us tonight for this online event, this live stream concert featuring singer-songwriter Micheal Kuehn, whose newest EP was released today and is available on Bandcamp, iTunes, Amazon Music, and Spotify. Micheal served for many years as the worship leader at Grace Kernersville and is now serving as director of worship at Hope Church in Winston-Salem. It's wonderful to have Micheal back and with us this evening. Grace Kernersville longs to see the grace of God magnified, and one of the ways in which we believe that God's grace is magnified is in making beautiful things. The grace which He has shown us through the gifts that He has given us can be reflected back to Him, and we want to support artists in their endeavor to reflect back the beauty of the grace of God. If you're able, I encourage you to share links to this live stream on social media. You may even want to wish or may want to tag your friends, and so that they'll be able to see it or see it later after this event is saved. We appreciate Michael's music in doing so, and we want to be able to get it out there to everybody in the community. Thank you, Micheal, for witnessing to us about the beauty of God's grace in your music, and thank you for sharing your new music with us tonight. Gathered friends and viewers, I present Micheal Kuehn.
Well, thank you, Randy, for that generous introduction. It is really a privilege, an honor. I'm so grateful to Randy, all of Grace, for being here, for Kevin and Aaron back there running all the tech stuff. Thank you, guys. It really means a lot to have this opportunity. I would love to just briefly set the stage about this collection of songs. So it is called Good and Glory, and they are all 5 bound together for me because they center around discipleship and what it means to try and live out faith in your daily life. And so the flow of songs really kind of begins and ends in the gospel, that we're called by grace to His grace. And in the middle, the 3 songs in the middle are just reflections on the journey of what you experience as you follow Jesus. That sometimes you have a lot of questions, and sometimes you feel encouraged by faith, and sometimes you feel like giving up. And so these are songs that are honest reflections on my experience. So I do hope you enjoy it. The first song is called Stumbling Soul / Feeble Heart. And I was really, really proud to have a song title with a slash in it for whatever reason. That just makes me happy. But it's about the call, getting that call to think, could I be a follower, and what would that mean, and wrestling with that. So I would invite you into it with me to wrestle with those questions and enjoy tonight's music. Thanks for joining us. Find a reason, I can't find a rhyme, why I'm running from you after all this time. Oh, the trial's been had, I'm acquitted the crime, but I'm still holding tight to this pride of mine. You bid me come without money and buy, to take up my cross, to come and die. Could I just do the first, 'cause the ladder's too hard? For this stumbling soul and this feeble heart. I'm sorry to all of you that I've failed, for the lies that I've told and the idols I've hailed. And I wish I could say now my demons are jailed, but I'll keep up the fight till he pulls back the veil. You bid me come without money and buy, to take up my cross, to come and die. Could I just do the first, 'cause the ladder's too hard for this stumbling soul and this feeble heart? It's hard to take all your pain, to lay it all down and count it as gain. But brother, be strong, 'cause all else is lost. So lift up your arms and take up your cross. Oh, he bids you come and drink from the well. The waters of life quench the fires of hell. And nothing could ever keep you apart, not even your stumbling soul or your feeble heart. You bid me come without money and buy, to take up my cross, to come and die. Could I just do the first, 'cause the ladder's too hard for this stumbling soul and this feeble heart. So I mentioned that discipleship has a lot of questions that comes with it. And so this song is really based around one question in the story in the Gospels when there's a great storm, the disciples are freaking out, Jesus is asleep in the boat. And they run to him and they say, "Lord, do you not care if we perish?" And I've asked that question many times in many different ways about many different things. Lord, do you not care if we perish? If this is it? Can you not see what we're going through? Can you not understand what it is that we're facing? And so this song tries to hold this tension between being a disciple and being in the boat in the first place, but also asking that question. And so it's called Say the Word. Who would you have me be? Say the word. Oh, just say the word. What would you have me do? Say the word. Oh, just say the word. But when the storm is raging on and all hope seems is gone, will the wind and the waves still obey? Will they still obey? Where would you have me go? Say the word. Oh, just say the word. What would you have me say? Say the word. Oh, just say the word. But when the storm is raging on and all hope seems is gone, will the wind and the waves still obey? Will they still obey? Lord, do you not care if we perish? Lord, are we not the ones you cherish? Say the word, say the word. Every breath I will serve. But when the storm is raging on and all hope seems is gone, will the wind and the waves still obey? Will they still obey? So that song is, that was the inspiration for the cover art that you might see on the album of this beautiful line drawing of a boat, and done by Jennifer Edwards, Randy's wife, and just beyond ecstatic to have been able to work with her on that, and to share the story of that song, and the representation of that boat on the front being anchored, being at rest, as we were actually just discussing a little bit ago. And so that really helped tie it together. That boat, along with the title, Good and Glory, which for me is that shortened way of saying that God is working all things together for His good, for our good, but more for His glory. And so those things tied together, and we don't always understand how that could be true in the midst of, God, do you not care if I perish? Asking that question, of course, you don't always feel like things are being knit together and woven together for good. But the whole of His character, the whole of His testimony, the whole of even my life story, if I take that step back, I can say, you know what, as this song, Good and Glory, that I'm about to play says, your love has convinced me. And so even in the midst of questions, you can still have that conviction. So that's what this is about. This is Good and Glory. I am just so tired. I don't know what to say. I am so weary. I can't think straight. I am so weak. I don't have the strength to stand, much less the desire to get back up again. It was your hand that brought me low. It was your hand in death's shadow. And though I may not ever see the joy my sorrows weep, your love has convinced me it's for good and glory. For good and glory. I am not lost. I know just where I am. I'm too familiar with this desolate wasteland. It was your hand that brought me here. It was your hand tracing every tear. And though I may not ever see the joy my sorrows weep, your love has convinced me it's for good and glory. For good and glory. Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief when the shadows hanging over me, when the answers are just out of reach. Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief when the shadows hanging over me, when the answers are just out of reach. It was your hand that brought me low. It was your hand in death's shadow. And though I may not ever see the joy my sorrows weep, your love has convinced me it's for good and glory. For good and glory. I'm going to make the transition over to the guitar station, so just bear with me. Awesome. Did you catch that? Did you catch me drinking the bottle of water? That was excellent. It was very fast. So this next song is called "Dust of Your Feet," and it's actually it's the third one on the album, and I'm playing it now for logistical reasons, so I didn't have to bounce back and forth. But part of the reason it's in the middle is because I take that to be sort of the turn. This song is like the turn in the journey. That I felt like before I could say something like, I know your love has convinced me that everything is for good and glory. There had to be, there was a song that was the moment of that turn when you go from asking the question, do you care if we perish, to I'm convinced it's good and glory. And for me, that's this song, Dust of Your Feet. And it's sort of confessional in nature, but it also has this pivot point where I just ask, can I come? Is it true when you say, come you weary, to take up this yoke that is easy and burden light? Is it true? And can it be true for me? So that's the question that's asked. And there's a reference in a book. I believe the book is Sitting at the Feet of Rabbi Jesus. And it makes this point. I don't remember if it was just to illustrate a point or if it was factual. Forgive me for losing that in my brain. But the point was that people used to follow rabbis literally, that they would go with them place to place and they would learn from them. They'd sit at their feet. And the author of this book was asking, what does your robe look like? Are you following close enough that the dust of the rabbi's feet is collecting on your robe as you follow? So that might be a helpful image as I go in and play through this one. I'm tired of following my heart and being cheated, deceived, and lied. I need something stronger, a lion of a different pride. Oh, I feel these burdens hanging round my neck as I'm pulling harder at the reins. Will I ever learn to walk in stride is to ease the pain? To walk in stride is to ease the pain. I take for granted all I have, and I'm still expecting more, refusing to trade these rags for more than I'd ever bargained for. Oh, I feel these burdens hanging round my neck as I'm pulling harder at the reins. Will I ever learn to walk in stride is to ease the pain? To walk in stride is to ease the pain. come close? Can I come closer? Can I 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 come close? Cover my robe in the dust of your feet. Show me you're the only thing that I need. Lift these burdens and set me free to take up the yoke that you share with me. Cover my robe in the dust of your feet. Show me you're the only thing that I need. Lift these burdens and set me free to take up the yoke that you share with me. And cover my robe in the dust of your feet. Well, I've asked, it's just me, I've asked some hard questions. And it comes to a really important part of the service. This isn't a service. I'm losing it. It comes to an important part of this program when I have to say hello to someone very special. And so, Greta, I see you. My 2.5-year-old daughter. I'm saying hello. I miss you. I'm so glad you get to stay up extra late tonight to see Daddy play some music. And I wish you were here. I wish Mommy was here too. So after the hard questions, there's happiness. And so both bookends of the album, as I said, we start Called by Grace and we move toward His grace. And so the end here is called Wedding White, and it's just praise. That's all, I guess. Justice cries, but ask not of me. For my pardon granted, I've been set free. But still every cry must be heard. It's met by the blood that speaks some better word. And it's only by the love in the blood that flowed down that I stand before the throne in an ivory wedding gown. The crimson doors I from crimes of deepest dye. Lord, your grace has washed me wedding white. The hem of my soul. Oh, my sin, not in part, but the whole. Oh, I cannot be unrivaled, exposed. For I am clothed in the King's righteous robes. And it's only by the love in the blood that flows down that I stand before the throne in an ivory wedding gown. The crimson doors I from crimes of deepest dye. Lord, your grace has washed me wedding white. Oh, it never in the blood that flowed down, that I stand before the throne, in an ivory wedding gown, crimson glow as I, in crimes of deepest dye. Lord, your grace has washed me wedding white, crimson glow as I, in crimes of deepest dye. Lord, your grace has washed me wedding white. Thank you all. Thank you so much for listening. It means a lot. It means more than I could even begin to say. To have the opportunity for a few folks here and for y'all watching. I'm just incredibly grateful. So now you get to hear some question and answer. At least questions. I have no idea if I have any answers. They didn't tell me what they're asking.
Well, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Completely.
Well, it was our pleasure too. So just in thinking about the album, you conceptually you think about the whole thing together. Can you explain again just the arc of the story behind it?
Yes, sure. Yes, I need that for me. I can't. I won't say can't, but it's not really my process to put things together that don't belong together, anchored to something. And so the arc of an album or the concept, I wouldn't say it's a concept album per se, but it has to be something for me that is the tethering point. And so so it begins with the call in Stumbling Soul, Feeble Heart, just to say, admitting my own place where I am and what my inability, you might say, to get it together. And the call that is twofold, at least in the song, the way I put it, is to come without money and buy. And you're like, I'm in. Take up your cross and come die. Wait a minute. And so that's the call. And so as you go through the next three songs, I feel like there's this process of discipleship that takes place where you started to follow, but you got questions. And then, that, as I said, dust of your feet. In the middle is that place of commitment. All right, I'm in. And then good and glory is having gone all in, you discover the depth of that love and the security you have in the one you follow. And so that propels you to Wedding White, which is rejoicing in that and also sort of looking ahead to that wedding feast of the Lamb. That's as much of a nutshell as I could probably get down to.
Do you experience that trajectory, as you're working through those songs? I mean, does that
Like, did I have that and then fill it in?
Well, just imaginatively, does it help you kind of enter into just a life of faith? I mean, it's very much a life of faith, it seems like.
Yeah, I would say in this instance, these songs found each other. They were written at different times for different reasons, and they sort of coalesced around that arc. So they wandered around to find each other. That was more, at least for this one. In the past, I've gotten to a point where it's come together, but it's missing a couple of things, and so then you sort of fill in some blanks. But yeah, does that answer it sort of?
To piggyback on that, I'm interested to know your just the process of this particular album. I think in a conversation that we had, you mentioned that it at least was conceived a while ago. And could you talk about how that started? Was it derailed along the way? Maybe why it was, how did the process of creating the songs um, be a part of your life, or your life have something to do with the creation of the songs?
That's a great question. So the content of the song really reflects what was happening emotionally, or I guess spiritually, both in life. I mean, there was a moment around just an event that happened where I was feeling the words just fell out of my mouth from Stumbling Soul. It was out loud, I am sorry to everyone I failed. Like, it was just overwhelming for whatever reason. And so then one, as you said, it came together over several years. And so one event that happened was I was teaching at Redeemer School and had been teaching music, but I sort of became a part of a conversation of co-teaching a class on discipleship, which was for the 7th and 8th grade classes. And it was during that time when reflecting on discipleship to teach discipleship that that was when the anchor set in, was these songs. And even during that season was when I wrote, I believe, Good and Glory, and that was like, for whatever reason, it just was a point of solidifying in me this reflection of my own discipleship and how to talk to these students about it. And could you be as honest as saying, I don't know, I don't do a good job at this. Here, why don't you try to maybe do good at this or not? Or like, how do you take your brokenness and but the Lord shines through, and so takes your weakness and shines through that. So then it was last summer, I was like, hey, I'm ready. These songs are ready to go. Here's the finish line. And I stopped. And part of that was just that artist struggle with, when is it finished? And when are you ready to put something out there? So then a few months later goes by, life changes happen, taking the new position, a new job, so we have a new community, and then there's a pandemic. And I think there's not a moment, but there's a process of those sorts of life events that have a way of taking away the periphery, the miscellaneous, and saying, this is what is important. Here are the priorities. And a faith journey was emerging as a priority that hadn't been a priority. Or it was like, I thought it was a thing that was okay, and really it wasn't. And so for other things to be stripped away, for whatever other things were filling some of those gaps in my heart, that was taken out so that the affections could be aligned better. And as a part of that, it was reshaping what I think about in terms of creating things and releasing things, and why is creating important, and so it became a matter of, this needs to happen, these songs. And it was again reflecting on discipleship, and it's like, I think a part of what I need to do now is share that, and I think it will help me, but I really hope it helps other people too. So that several years of reflecting on your own journey.
Is an artist ever really happy with the finished product?
I'll say yes. I think an artist always has things they could tinker with. But I do believe in a point at which you can say, I'm proud of this.
Does it feel like an act of faith then to send it out?
Yes, it is all. It is faith, because it is like, it is like I just said, years of thinking and personal stories, and to then say, "All right, world, have a look at this." It just is like, I don't know what we're doing here. Why am I doing this? But so it is faith, and I'll say every time it's worth it.
Um, uh, I just wanted to comment on one of the things I appreciate about your music, and not only this album, but other albums and songs you've written, is that you have an incredible capacity to, and I'm going to use a term that's being used a lot in our Christian circles these days, but you have a way of offering to us um, a way to lament. And there are several songs in this that feel like that, that hold that same timbre, if you will, of the Psalms, that allow us to step into the difficulty of walking this life, and yet in a container of hope. And I just appreciate that about your songwriting, your lyrics, as well as your music. The music itself speaks to what you're writing, and I really, really enjoy that about it. I do wonder sometimes, even dialing down to how a particular song comes about. So does it start with the words, and then the music comes? Does it start with the music? Sometimes one, sometimes the other. Um, the three of us have a favorite poet, Malcolm Guite, who has been known to say, he gets a few little words and then he'll say to them, "Oh, do you have any friends to come out along with it?" Is that something that happens for you? Because this is very poetic language. A lot of your songs are poetry that's then, music is added to it.
Well, thank you. That means a great deal. I would the majority of the time it is an it is a pouring out of what's inside. And so I will come to the piano, or I will grab the guitar, and I will just go, because something I feel, something I experience has to find a way out. And typically from that, I will find one or the other, a phrase, a concept, right, a chorus, or a progression, a melody line. And so the catalyst is almost a spontaneous type of a thing. It is just letting it loose, to take away an editing cap or a production cap, any sort of thing like that. You're just in creative blank space, and I've left so much on the piano, as it were, that never made it to anything. But it made space for something else. When you can work through and experience and process what it is that you're going through in those ways, this outlet. And so it's one or the other. They don't often come together, but sometimes they do, right? Sometimes a phrase and a melody just match, and then you sit on it. Say the Word, the second song about being in the boat. I had verse and chorus of that for years and waited. And you preached once on that, and you articulated the portion of "you don't care if we perish," right? You talked about that. And so then I was like, of course, the storm, the waves. Why didn't I think of that? But so to your point, just the word or the phrase comes, and then you have to wait for the friends to show up, whether they're notes or their words. If I was forced to say, I think music comes first more often.
So, Say the Word
Mhm.
that's probably one that really resonated with me a lot on this EP. I guess a couple of questions about that is, we can use Say the Word as an invitation, I'll do what you tell me, right? But it seemed like there could be some play with respect to, like, what is the word? What is the word that you would want to hear spoken to you?
That's a great question. You're right. There is some play there. It's not merely where would you have me go? Texas. It's not just that. And I think what sort of what for me gives that away is after in the bridge, do you care if we perish? Are we not the ones you cherish? And then say the word. So that one doesn't have as much of a simple answer. It could be, well, yes. It could just be yes. For me, I think it is the word I would have him that I would want to hear is, "Son, you belong." I think that's for me what I want to hear.
Now, it seems that in that song, with the, I don't know what you would call it, an arpeggio or whatever the keys, that you're playing. And I'm not smart enough. I mean, I have people that I know who I could ask maybe, but I'm not smart enough. Does the song ever make it back to home with that little bit at the end, or does it?
Yeah, say the word does get back home.
Okay.
Good and glory does not.
Huh.
So that's something else I think that I was conscious of. I wouldn't say that I did it intentionally from the beginning, but once I discovered it, I said, I'm gonna lean into that. That say the word does come home again, but good and glory does not, because I don't. Yeah, I just think the concept of each song has a little different feel to it. You're thinking of good and glory. Yeah, well, they both have a rolling thing, and so the rolling thing and say the word is kind of more wave oriented. Good and glory is yes, da 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 da, and yeah, so it never goes home. No, and that was why we talked about a line drawing. Actually, and we were discussing continuous line drawings. That it starts at some point and it doesn't stop. It just kind of weaves through, and that's what that song. It fades in on the recording. It fades in and fades out. Because the weaving, if you will, of your life, the thread is being woven still, and that's you don't know where it's going.
That'll preach.
Micheal, I noticed that you use pride in two different places that have probably multiple meanings. And in Stumbling Soul, Feeble Heart, you say, I'm still holding tight to this pride of mine. And then in Dust of Your Feet, you've written a lion of a different pride. And so you're using, a lion's kingdom, so to speak, and then over and against holding tight to this. It could be interpreted both pride as in proud, but this kingdom of mine. And I just appreciated that juxtaposition between the two. Did you realize that was happening when you wrote those two songs, or?
Well, they were spaced apart enough that I didn't notice that. But when it came down to the collecting them and placing them, yes. And that was supposed to be a turn for that. And there's another I'm forgetting my own songs, but there's another one in Stumbling Soul and Wedding White that there's a reference, I think, that they kind of coordinate. Yes, that theme is important for me. The My Own Kingdom. In fact, kind of 2 projects ago was called Temple, and similar movement. First song is Empire, and by the end, the last song is Temple. And I need to be overthrown many times. I take over, stage a coup, and it needs to be done again. So, thanks for noticing.
I just have one other question from me, and that is this your first album after becoming a dad? Or did you have another?
It is.
It is. And do you think that's had any effect on your artistry? I'm sure that it's had an effect on your availability to sing and write. But just wondered if
Yes, it is. Now, I don't know if any of the songs were written after being a dad. Um, so, there is that. But you are right. I do think it has changed. Some of the artistry, certainly the practical, logistical side. But I also have a different audience that I write for. And an author that I really appreciate, named Robert Benson, has a book about writing, and he talks about, has these note cards with people's names on them, and he'll put them up on his writer's desk, and when he gets stuck or he gets out of hand, he gets lost in the weeds, he can look at those names, and when he writes for them, it goes smoother. And so I have an audience that I keep with me. And now I have 2 beautiful, small audience members that mean just everything. And so it does change what I think about. And I receive some encouragement to take a swing at doing this, if for no other reason than that your daughters can see that it's worth taking a swing at things. And so that was important for this.
Okay. Do you have any more? All right, so I've got a couple of. You got your 10 questions.
10
right.
questions.
It may not be 10 questions.
Okay. Is this lightning round?
It is.
Do we have time for this? I think we got to go. Is that right?
Yeah.
We do have time. Sorry. Whoops.
What is your favorite book that no one has heard of?
The favorite book no one's heard of. Well, some people have heard of it. Many people have not. Living Prayer, Robert Benson.
Okay. What book does everyone like that you don't like?
The Lord of the Rings. I read the first one.
He doesn't know how it ends.
Well, I saw the movie, so.
Well, that's the same. Oh, that's so funny.
That's right. A lot of Lord of the Rings references.
What is your favorite word?
Can I have 2?
Excuse me?
Can I have 2?
Can you have 2? I thought that was the word.
No.
I was trying to understand what that was.
No,
Yes.
I flabbergasted. Love that word. Always have. Just the way it sounds. Another word that I really like that I've just sort of recently known is prosody. And that is the word that refers to when music and lyrics match.
That's beautiful. What's your least favorite word?
Panties.
Okay.
We're being honest, right?
You're in a season of life.
I'm this.
I got you.
Can we edit that in post?
What genre of music is your favorite?
Punk rock.
Excuse me?
Punk rock.
You doubling down on that?
Doubling down on that. Punk rock,
rock.
alternative rock, sort of, that's, yes. I mean, I love all types of music.
Yeah.
I mean, I was raised with a classic rock sort of dad, Bette Midler and stuff from my mom, Broadway tunes. I was schooled in all of it. Piano lessons, classical music, jazz, learned, all that sort of stuff. But, when it comes down to it, I need something that's going to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite genre of music?
I am really not a fan of real busy jazz like bebop. I just can't. That's gives me a headache.
Chicago Bears or New Orleans Saints?
Green Bay Packers. Next question.
Old Testament or New Testament?
Old Testament.
Okay. Guitar or piano?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Piano. Piano is my first love. Yeah. But they need each other.
Yes, they do. Okay, well, I think that's it.
Yes.
I'm so very grateful.
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much. I'm
Yes.
so appreciative, and we'll do it again sometime.
So I do want to just remind everybody that you can purchase and download Michael's music from Bandcamp. It's on Amazon Music and iTunes. It is also on Spotify. And also, just want to thank Aaron Johnson and Kevin McLean working so hard and working through trouble to get us going this evening, and we're very grateful for that. And thank you for Jennifer, my wife, for joining us. Thanks so much. Have a great evening.